welcome back to my channel, YouTube friends. It's me, Roslyn, and today we're going to be talking about how I got into grad school. So this is just a disclaimer. I'm not saying this is the only way you can get into grad school. I'm just saying this is how I got into grad school and some of the things I learned in the process. So I'm making this video because I know a lot of people are graduating this semester. Congratulations! And good luck in all of your future endeavors. So when I graduated, or when I went into my senior year, my undergraduate, I didn't know how to get into grad school because it's a lot different from your undergrad and just getting into college. So I'm going to share some of the things that I did and I learned in the process of getting into graduate school. So if I look down, I have a notebook that tells me all the things I want to talk about. So let's talk about the reason why I decided to go to grad school. My first reason is because I want to be a college professor one day, and I knew that I needed at least a degree higher than my students, or some institutions even require you to have a PhD. Also, just as far as like career-wise, I knew I was going to hit a wall if I didn't have that higher level degree. Lastly, I wasn't ready to be an adult. And what I mean by be an adult, I mean not be a student anymore. Just like I've been a student all my life, and the thought of not being a student genuinely gave me like anxiety, like freaked me out. And so why not better my career choices and give myself more time to prepare to not be a student? So at first I didn't think I could get into grad school because I didn't know what I wanted to study, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for it because I didn't want to do loans and stuff. So I wasn't sure how to pay for it. And so I also thought, I had a misconception that the only way you can get into grad school is if you like email a professor at a school you like who has a program you like, and you know they email you back and let you know if they're looking for a grad student and if they have an assistantship available. And so I tried that and it didn't really work for me. When I first decided to go to grad school, I was heart set on Clemson, and so I emailed 2 professors there who like I was very interested in their work, and their research seemed really cool, and I never got a response. So I didn't get a yes, but I definitely didn't get a no. So that was kind of discouraging, but I talked to one of my favorite professors, and he let me know that was kind of a common thing. Like, professors get bombarded with a lot of requests, I guess, and so they don't always respond. You can try it, and if it works for you, good luck. I'm so happy for you, but just for me, like, that didn't work. So I'm sorry if I keep hitting my leg. What I ended up doing is, my university, there was a conference. Where was the conference at? It was at, I want to say it was Towson. It was at Towson, and it was kind of just all about grad school and talking about grad school, and a program that you could go through. But it was for more like hardcore sciences, not that saying like what I was studying wasn't science, but it wasn't like math, engineering, physics, or anything like that. So that really didn't seem like an option for me either. And so I went and I talked to one of my favorite professors, and he gave me a lot of good advice. So first of all, he told me to check out Texas A&M, which has a job board, and there you can see like not only graduate assistantships, but like internships and full-time positions and post-grad work, I think that's what it's called. And so yeah, that was a really good resource. And so I went on there and I looked at a lot of the options, a lot of the assistantships available. I found ones that were interesting to me, and I looked at the requirements. And one thing I noticed is that a lot of them required you to take the GRE. And so if you're not familiar with the GRE is like the SATs for grad school. I had to take those. And this is where I'm going to give some like advice, because I've been there and I've done that. Study in advance. Give yourself at least 3 months to study. I wish I did that. I gave myself 3 months to study, but I never actually studied because I was also balancing being a student. And so like if you're really serious about taking the GRE, make sure you really study and buckle down. On the GRE, there's an analytical writing portion, a verbal portion, not verbal, but like words and like reading passages, and a math section. That's basically what's on it, basically what you would expect. Also, it's a pretty expensive test. By itself, it's $205, but if you're still in school, you can go to your financial aid office, and if you have a certain type of financial aid, you can get a fee waiver reduction. And it's just, you fill it out and you give them some other information, and it covers half. And so instead of the $205, you pay $102.50. And so I took my GREs, and I studied, but I didn't study as much as I wanted to, or I should have. And my scores weren't bad, but they weren't really what I wanted them to be. Like, a lot of the programs I was looking at, the threshold was here, and my scores are like right here. Like, I was shy maybe like 6 points. That also, like, worried me, but professor told me, you know, a lot of schools, they only like use your GRE as a deciding factor if you're deficient in your grades, your experience, and your recommendation is weak. And so that made me feel better because my grades are really good. I had a lot of experience. Like, I worked at a nature center for since 2011. I did an internship with Delaware State Parks. I was a graduate assistant. I did work study in the Mammal Museum. And so I had a lot of experience, and over my time at Frostburg, I worked really hard to build relationships with my professors. And so I knew I can get good recommendations. And so that was my GRE. So I had to take the GRE. Also, I had to perfect my CV. And a CV is just your curriculum vitae, and it's like your academic resume. And so I went to the like student resources building. If you're at Frostburg, or you've been to Frostburg, it's in Sand Spring. There they looked at my CV. They gave me tips on how to make it really good. They also looked at my cover letter. They told me what I should do to fix it and make it better and make it stronger to make me a better candidate. Leaving Frostburg, I felt very prepared that I could get into grad school. However, tragically, I didn't graduate. Well, I didn't finish my program when I wanted to. And so I was able to walk in the spring of 2016, because that's when I was supposed to walk. But I had to do field experience over the summer, which essentially was what I do every summer. But I had to register for a class that counted it as field experience. And so I had to do that over that summer. And so technically I didn't finish. I didn't get my degree until the fall. And so that kind of made me sad, and it made me discouraged, because I was like, well, you know, I really wanted to go to grad school like right after my undergrad. I didn't want to take time off because I knew it'd be hard to go back. After I got my degree in the fall, I looked on Texas A&M and I found what positions were open for the spring. And luckily I found one. Well, I found a couple, but this one like spoke to me. I really, really liked it. It was at where I'm at now, UWSP. It was a really interesting project, and if you want me to talk more about my research project, just let me know and I will definitely do that, because again, I think it's interesting, unless I wouldn't do it. So I contacted the advisor. This is the part of me actually getting into grad school. Everything else was just preparing me. And so I emailed the professor because all of that information is like on the Texas A&M website. And so I emailed her, and she told me to apply to the school. So I applied. So I don't know about at other schools, but at UWSP, it is an online application fee, which is like your basic information, you know, your name, where you're from, where you're intending to study, stuff like that. And then you pay your application fee, and then there's supplemental information that goes with it. And that was my CV, my transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation, and a writing piece, and my GRE scores. So if you take your GREs and you know where you're going before you take them, or as you take them, they'll send your first couple free. And so you just put that information when you take the test. I didn't know where I was going to go, so I couldn't take advantage of that. So I had to pay to send my GRE scores, which wasn't that bad. I don't believe it was that much. I can't exactly remember, but I don't think it was that much. UWSP wanted everything through snail mail, so I had to like physically send them all of the papers, which was fine. But what happened was I ended up waiting to the last minute. I don't know why, because I had everything prepared way in advance, but I ended up having to next day it, which got a little bit expensive because I had to send it to 2 different places. So like my transcripts were going to the admissions office, and my, what's it called? Everything else. So my CV and my GRE scores and all that stuff was going to Department of Natural Resources, which is where the umbrella I'm under here. And so I did that, and a couple weeks later I got a call saying that my application wasn't complete. And I was like, what? How? Why? And so what ended up happening is 3 things ended up happening. The admissions office wanted my transcripts from Kent State, which, if you didn't know, I went to Kent State University in Kent, Ohio my freshman year, but I did the rest of my education at Frostburg State in Maryland. And so I was confused on why they wanted my freshman transcripts, because my first semester I didn't do that good, and I took a lot of like general classes there, so it wasn't anything specific, but they wanted those. So thank goodness my account was still active at KSU, and so I just logged on, and my computer remembered my login information, so I just logged in and like got my transcripts. And I'm so happy that UWSP let me send them an electronic copy, so it got there quicker. And then from there, because the admission office didn't have both set of transcripts, they didn't send it over to the Natural Resources Department, which is where the decision is like finally made if I got there, like if I got in. And so that happened. And then what else happened? So Kent State transcripts, they didn't send my transcripts. What else happened? One of my recommendations, one of my recommendations didn't get there yet, because my favorite professor, bless his soul, he got busy, which I completely understand. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't upset or anything. I completely understand being a professor is pretty busy work. And so he just got swamped with stuff and kind of forgot. And so I just reminded him. He, without hesitation, filled out the form and wrote the recommendation and sent it to UWSP. And I was happy because they waited. Like, this is how I knew it was kind of a fit for me, because they waited. Because they could have been like,
oh, it wasn't here by the deadline, goes in the trash.
No, they waited, which I really, really appreciated. So that's one feeling I had, that this school was a good fit for me. That's another thing I would like really, really recommend, is make sure like the school and the area it's in is a good fit for you. Like here, UWSP is pretty much, it's very similar to Frostburg. I mean, obviously it's different because it's a different place, but it has a very similar feel, and so I like that. It's nice. I like the area I'm in, and I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else. And so, yeah. After my application was sent in, and it went to my advisor, and she read everything, and that was like a couple weeks later, I got an email from her saying, you know, are you still interested in the position? And I was like, hell yeah. But I said it very professionally. I was like, yes, please take me. But yes, so we sat down. We didn't sit. She was in Wisconsin. So we had kind of a phone interview, and I asked her my questions. She asked me hers. We like ironed out some logistics, and she was like, all right, well, I'll give you till this date to make your decision. Even though in my mind, my decision was made. I was going. And so, yeah, I got the position just off of that interview, and I'm really happy. I love my advisor. She's super awesome. She's made this transition from being a Maryland girl to living Midwest very easily, like easy. I couldn't imagine, like, I couldn't have asked for a greater advisor, and I'm so grateful for everything she has done for me. And so, yeah, she'll probably never watch this video, but yeah, I just thought I would throw that in there. But yeah, so that's how I got into grad school. I took my GREs. I looked for assistantships on Texas A&M, which I will leave in the description box down below. Yeah, I built really good relationships with professors, and I went to them for advice because, you know, they've been through these things. They've experienced grad school, and so they are a well of information. So I went to my professors and my advisors. I asked questions. I had a lot of experience. I kept my grades up, and here I am. And so, yeah. So for all of you who are considering grad school or furthering your education, I definitely recommend it. You never stop learning, and it's totally worth it. I feel like it's worth it. And if you're going straight to the job force, to the best of luck to you. I wish you the best. You find that career and you make that money, honey. And yeah, so congratulations to all the graduates, especially my 419 fam. I'm so happy for you guys, and I wish you the best. Bye.